What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum, which you should definitely all join. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by 10th Man, Flatzoid, Quantum Eraser, Ranty Flatter Earth, Righteous Force, Paul, who else we got? Chocolate Saiyan, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So a very warm welcome to you one and all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yo. Morning, guys.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello, hello. Good to have you all. We will rattle through housekeeping again. Oh, someone else has just joined. Who was that? Hello, Keith? Okay, we've got a Keith. Don't know who you are, but very good to have you here. Nope. Any signs of Earth curvature?
Nope.
Nothing in South Africa.
Nothing in California.
Oh, is Keith, you're on your flatzoid.
Nothing in Mexico.
Oh yeah, sorry, it's my other account.
No worries, just confused me for a second there. I didn't know your name was Keith. Now I do. Right, should we leave this one till last? Maybe not. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No.
Nothing here.
Nope.
Quite a few people in Discord. Nobody wants to row about Coriolis effect? Anybody? Ding ding. Seconds out.
Please not do that again.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
What's gravity?
Yeah, what's gravity?
The bending of a conceptual medium known as space-time, giving rise to a non-force force that you can think of as a force that's not actually a force called gravity.
In that case, no evidence.
How
So
would
a confusing thought.
I
Imagine
don't
having to
even know
defend
where to
that.
start?
Good one,
How do you
Righteous.
find evidence for such a thing?
Didn't catch that right, just say that again.
Said imagine having to defend that. Like a sexual medium, I mean.
Oh. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container?
Absolutely not.
Nothing here.
Discord? Anybody? Nobody believes in space in there?
No, not me.
Seriously? We've got
There's
no
some
space?
ballers off mute now. They should pipe up soon enough, I imagine.
Okay. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
I believe in space. Sorry for interrupting.
No, not at
I was
all.
in the middle of coughing. I believe in space.
How can you have gas pressure, like the stuff we breathe, without a container?
Yeah, that's usually the answer.
Okay. May I be the first to tell you, outer space is fake. You can't have gas pressure, like we breathe, without a container, and Earth is claimed to be an open system in a vacuum called space, which is fake. Condolences. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Nope.
Nothing.
Nope.
Anybody at all? Anybody? Nobody going to give us a distance?
No 2 sticks here.
Any
About
evidence?
93 million miles away.
Where'd you get that number? Where'd you get that from?
A field manual.
Got it from Google.
From the globe
No, I
model.
think it was 93 million afterwards. It
After
keeps
what?
changing.
How did Google get that number?
First you
Siri.
assume Earth is a sphere with a given radius. Then you assume, as Christian Huygens did, that Venus is the same spherical rock as Earth in terms of its size and radius. Ever hear Venus referred to as Earth's twin? That's a presupposition that Earth is a sphere based on the derivative R value taken from the path of the sun around a presupposed outside edge of a sphere they reify with that R value derived from that sun. Then they transpose that R value onto Venus and apply Kepler's third law. That's how you get your distance to the sun.
So just assumptions then.
Starts with R. Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
The body of
Yeah, I have
science,
been on
Nathan.
here.
Body of science. It's a method, it doesn't have a body. That's a reification fallacy.
Like the body of science.
A method that establishes
Rumpus
cause and effect. It's not a
says
body,
so.
it doesn't have a chest.
But Rumpus,
But
he says
but
so.
the body of science, Nathan.
Okay, the body of science. Dun, 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 dun. The body of science. No,
I had to
it's
for
just a
time's
method.
sake.
I love it. I think that's it. Did we cover molten iron cores at the centre of presupposed spherical Earths? Did we cover that? Any evidence of a molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed
Yes.
spherical Earth?
No.
Just yummy marshmallows over a fire.
Cool, that concludes the housekeeping then.
Nathan, you were saying that they got the distance to the sun by measuring Venus and saying it's the same as Earth. Is that
No, not measuring. No.
right? well, say it again.
Presupposing Venus is the same size as Earth. They arbitrarily assign a value to a light in the sky they call Venus and say that is the same size as Earth. So when we have the transitional values with eclipses or the occulting of a sun they presuppose is at the centre of a heliocentric system, they can apply the mathematics of interplanetary motion to give them the distances. But you need to assume Earth is a sphere, that the sun is at the centre with Earth as a sphere travelling around that sun, even though the radius value they start with is derived from the path the sun appears to take above our surface, giving you a circle that they can then get a spherical presupposition from, giving you a spherical Earth, which they'll then say Venus is the same size as. The twin, right? Why is it called the twin? Well, because they've assumed it's the same size as us. It's just a bloody dot in the sky that lights up at night.
Now, my point is on Venus, but a little bit different view, is the rock in the sky. So why is it that when I go to the internet and want to see what Venus looks like, so many pictures show it as a sparkling gaseous thing, kind of like, it's not even a rock, it's not even solid.
Gaseous, you say? Now, in their rhetoric, it definitely isn't gaseous, regardless of what they claim, because it's in a vacuum. And if it was gaseous, it would be dispersing into the available volume, and self-evidently it isn't, so it's not a gas.
Yes. However,
Likewise, we're not a gas in a vacuum either. Earth that's assumed to be a radius value of X with a vacuum surrounding it is also debunked by entropy. The gas would fill the vacuum that's surrounding it. Ergo, we are not in a vacuum. Space is fake.
So why is the internet littered with pictures of Venus not looking solid?
This is just a light in the sky. Huygens' reification of a sphere Earth value on Venus doesn't have any relation to what you see in the night sky twinkling. Twinkle, twinkle, little Venus. Oh my bad, it's actually a planet according to them, when pseudoscience astrophysicists decide that. Well, that's meaningless, not backed by any scientific validity, purely priests telling you what heaven is. They call themselves scientists, in reality pseudoscience astrophysicists, like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Brian Cox, who go around naming things. What's that in this telescope? That's a black hole, that is. Astro-naming.
According to Brenda, naming things is classified as science. So, yes.
Well, yes, they...
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot
the
about that. Yeah.
pseudoscientists are going to call themselves scientists. Likewise, the fraudsters who pretend that they're lawyers and stand at the bar are going to say they're lawyers, but they're not. They're fraudsters. They're not establishing scientific validity when they name things in the sky and then apply mathematics. That's not scientifically validating anything. It's pseudoscience in reality, a non-application of the scientific method along with a tag of science. By definition, pseudoscientists, astrophysicists, if they're your priests, I like saying this, are pseudoscientists by definition.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, by all means. That's the end of housekeeping. So go ahead.
Is there any scientist on the planet that you would actually believe or take their word for what they say?
No, absolutely under no circumstances. What I would trust from somebody claiming to be scientists is scientific experimentation to back a scientific prediction they have made and then proven with their experimentation that I could go forth to repeat. That's called scientific evidence. Do I believe what they say? No.
What do you think about that, Highlander?
I mean, I was just asking. I mean, I wasn't trying to upset anyone or anything. I was just wondering if there was anyone in particular that you would put your trust and faith in when they say, I have done this experiment and here's my results.
I see.
You know?
One of the steps, the final step, is the systematic experimentation stage. So regardless of what someone declares, unfortunately, there are fraudsters who will say they have done experiments. A case in point would be the Cavendish quote-unquote experiment, which it isn't. So by having part of the method be designed to back the empirical nature that the result should have given, the person claiming with words has been performed, you can go forth and perform the systematic part yourself to back their claim that they have said to you.
I mean, I agree with you. You do get fraudsters, but you get fraudsters in everything, not just science. Yeah.
Yes,
But if you take, I mean, like myself, yourself, and a lot of people here, we're not exactly on the level of understanding quantum physics. So if Stephen Hawking said to you, I did these calculations, here is what I've worked out, would you not take Stephen Hawking's word for it?
Number one, speak for yourself. Number two, I've just answered you. Would I take Stephen Hawking's word for it? What, when he's talking about the nature of reality based on mathematics? No. I absolutely, unequivocally do not trust what Stephen Hawking's says. No. I would trust any experimental validity if I could show that it had been performed multiple times over a course of a long period, then I may not see the need to validate it myself if the systematic part was already fulfilled by plenty of other people that were independent. So there is a point that, yes, you could force me into a corner where I'd say, yeah, okay, I trust the thousands of experimentation that have been performed to back the assertions made by quantum mechanics, for example, as you use that term. So that's got plenty of experimental validity to it. Whereas astrophysicists are not scientists, even though they claim to be. So you asking me whether or not I'd trust a, by definition, pseudo-scientist? No. And when you ask me with words like belief and faith in things that this man says, then again, no. Science has a method attached that gives you an empirical result. Do you know what empirical means?
But I mean, you say that you would believe it if it had thousands of repeated experiments producing the same results. But when I said quantum physics, I mean, there's not many people on the planet that can understand quantum physics. That's what sets out people like Stephen Hawking above everyone else.
Can you tell me how many people has been in the space out of the entire world?
How many people have been in space? Hold on a second. He said there's a lot of fraud in science. There is zero fraud in actual science. Now, there's fraud in pseudoscience. Why? Well, because it's pseudoscience. That's astrophysics, astronomy, cosmology, paleontology, anthropology, archaeology, geology, evolutionary biology, and theoretical physics. Yeah, there's frauds in those. Yeah, you're right. Not in science. Science is the scientific method, sir. So get it right. Thanks.
The people you're asking if we'd trust are the categories that contain frauds. Not science. That's
what I said was you get fraudsters in everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Astrophysicists would be that category, as they specifically tell you about what your world is.
Human beings. Yeah. Is it not?
I didn't hear you. Sorry, my bad. Say that again.
All I said was you get fraudsters in everything. It's just the nature of human beings. Yeah. Some people have that nature to con others.
That's true. However, the method of... Yes, we're not talking about people when we talk about science, though. That's fortunate, because you're asking us how we feel about what people say, and we're pointing out that science is a method that has an empirical result at the end. You don't need to worry about whether or not you trust someone.
Sorry.
I'm just going to say you don't need to worry about whether or not you trust, believe, or put faith in words of men when the result of the method, not the man, is empirical.
This is not about individuals being fraudulent within the system. This is systematic. The fraudulent nature is a set part of it.
Yeah, the whole basis is fraudulent.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to ask that question if you believed anyone, and you've answered that saying no. So thank you very much.
Sorry, I didn't say I don't believe anyone, as you've decided to now summarise.
What the hell is he talking about?
Yeah, what the hell are you on about? I pointed out that the people you're appealing to, pseudoscientists, astrophysicists, are frauds. They declare science. By definition, a pseudoscientist is someone that claims to be adhering to the method, but doesn't. And that's precisely what they do. They claim they have science, they claim they are scientists, and that you should believe, trust, and put faith in, as you put it, what they say, or what they calculate.
But
and we are saying that we do not trust those people while he talks completely through me. You've misrepresented what I've said. I didn't say I don't trust people. That's not what I said. I said the frauds are the people who declare science when they don't have it. Science being empirical, something you can not trust in, but accept as empirical. No faith required. But you're asking us about whether or not we trust people, and at the end summarising that I don't trust anybody, when that's not what I've said. You trust.
Right, so you trust.
I haven't finished. I'm now summarising your position and asking you to answer a few questions, if you don't mind. Why would you, given that there's empiricism in science, trust what a man in a wheelchair talking through a computer says?
Because his IQ far supersedes mine. He understands something that only few people on the planet could.
Well, not anymore.
We're not describing an understanding.
Okay.
We're still doing it. We're not talking about your or his levels of understanding when we talk about a method that asserts an empirical result when trying to establish a cause. It has absolutely nothing to do with his IQ or your IQ. Science is an empirical method. It doesn't need faith. It doesn't need trust. It doesn't need an IQ. It doesn't need any of those things. And I'm asking why you are trusting and believing and putting faith in a person when we are pointing out that the empirical method is being violated and therefore makes the person you are asking us whether or not we trust a pseudo-scientist. Why do you have faith in pseudoscience?
Because, like I said, he is more intelligent than me. He has done the mathematics. Yeah.
Oh, right. So, who's the guy? Is it Bernie Madoff, the guy that did the pyramid schemes and went to jail? Is that Bernie Madoff? Do you think he's more intelligent than you? He's more intelligent than you, right?
Well, he got away with it for quite a long time.
So, basically, you're his perfect candidate, a dumb fuck that he can scam then, because you'll trust anybody smarter than you. Bernie Madoff, he's more intelligent, therefore, yeah, man, he got away with it. Clearly clever. I'll invest in his next scam. What a brain-dead idiot.
And I'd like to know how this person knows Stephen Hawking's IQ. How do you know that?
Somebody told him.
What is his IQ? And I want you to confirm it. What was his IQ?
That's another belief that he has.
Go on.
But proof that even was Stephen Hawking.
Essay.
Yeah, no, I don't know Stephen Hawking's exact IQ. But the guy's got PhDs, and I don't.
Hold
on, let him finish.
Should tell you enough that his IQ is higher than mine. Yeah, he has PhDs. You don't. His IQ, therefore, is higher than yours.
Vegetable would have an IQ higher than yours. That's not saying anything.
I don't really get it. He's portrayed on TV as a gibbering vegetable with saliva gibbering down his chin. That's and you're saying you perceive him as having a higher IQ because something comes out of the teleprompter on the voiceover when he's on TV. That to you, it just seems like somebody here is laughing at the general populace as far as I'm concerned. Now, maybe people in the audience will take this with great offence, but as far as I'm concerned, I look at a man who looks like he has no cognitive capabilities at all, and I'm told that he's greatly more intelligent than me. Oh, yeah, why? Because he's conveying stuff through a voiceover, which has been shown to be grossly over-exaggerated in terms of its capabilities in behind-the-scenes footage of what actually takes place. So
he's a dumbass.
Well, I'm just saying he's portrayed as an individual. He's portrayed as an individual of lowered mental capacity, but yet he's held up in the regards of being of great intellect, even though he's a pseudoscientist.
Great intellect, eh? Hold on a second. Let me go back in my files. Let me pull a couple things from this great intellect. Okay? Go ahead, continue. I'll just jump in when I find it.
What year? What year? Because the recent Stephen Hawking,
the guy wasn't always
not the old one. The old one was very smart.
To a computer.
Say again. What was your name? I've forgotten. Thunder?
Highlander.
Go ahead, Highlander.
Yeah, no, all I was saying was the guy wasn't always in a wheelchair. Yeah, he wasn't always attached to a computer to help him speak. Yeah. You know, when he went to university, he was a fully able-bodied person.
So what? We're talking about a method of science that's empirical, and all you're doing is giving us the bibliography of a guy who's dead. Who cares?
Yeah, but you were downright nasty about him, really, to be honest.
I described how he presents on a TV screen. He presents himself as someone mentally incapacitated. That's how he presents himself. That is a fact. That's how it is presented to you.
So if you see someone in a wheelchair like that, you're saying that they are mentally incapable of anything.
No, you have to look at their eyes and the way they uphold their eyes. That is where you see it. And the guy seems completely in the recent phases, seems disconnected from the voice actually speaking.
By definition,
let's be honest.
Why are we having this double speak conversation? I don't have to make any assessment other than a single glance to see he is, by definition, mentally incapacitated. That is a fact. I'm not going to dance around it and say what you look at somebody who's clearly mentally incapacitated and think anything other than that person is fact and visually obviously mentally incapacitated. He is. Are you saying that I should look at him and think, oh, secretly that's actually a genius because an over-speaking televised presentation says he is? I don't believe a word the TV says to me. Absolutely not. In fact, when it's in the polar opposition of what I'm being presented visually, I question it deeply. You, on the other hand, decide that he's more intelligent than you, even though you couldn't hold a conversation with him if he was in front of you. Literally, you couldn't hold a conversation with him.
I found a couple statements that he said, so whenever you're ready.
I'm ready now.
Stephen Hawking, the crown grand poobah of science, the pinnacle of intellectual atheistic elitism, states in his book, The Grand Design, there's two of them, I think. Philosophy is dead. Philosophy has not kept up with modern developments in science, particularly physics. Scientists have become the bearers of the torch of discovery in our quest for knowledge. Can you see the clumsy, childlike contradiction? He just made a philosophical statement, for fuck's sake. And the next, here's the next one, and I'll just leave it with this because this guy's a crayon muncher. Because there is a law such as gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing. He's a moron! What the hell is that?
Yeah, wow.
Right?
What year?
So take your intelligence
Can I please
quotient.
get an answer?
What sun
year?
doesn't shine, clown.
Hold on.
God.
What does it say? What year he said that, please, Kiwi?
It's in Grand Design. I'm sorry. Who's talking?
Why are people so triggered? Why are people so angry and upset? I only asked a question.
Because you're asking us about our trust of
by
this man.
people that are. Oh God.
Sorry, John.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Year?
On mute, John.
So, what was the year of that statement by Stephen Hawking that John just said?
Did you hear the statement?
I did. Know the year.
Okay.
The other guy's asking why we're triggered. We're triggered because your questioning, your line of questioning to us is about our trust and faith in a crayon munching. Well, what can I describe him as? He presents himself as somebody mentally incapacitated, and by the things that the voiceover says he says, although we're not going to establish if that was in voiceover or from him standing on a college campus in Cambridge. We don't know.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
how can you absolutely trust where that voice is coming from anyway? I mean, they made a car talk in the 1980s. So
I watched a documentary on that, right, the other day.
Hawking was dying from a rare disease, and he has a world record longevity going through the disease process has never been shown before. It's almost like supposedly the World Trade Centers being brought down by fuel fire. It's just seemingly
motor neuron disease, right?
And he never made these silly kind of globe nonsense things to that level, these kind of statements, in his pre-2000 era, when he was still actually himself. because there's big clues that the guy that we've been seeing in the last 2 decades was a kind of body double in the same condition, but he had different type of jawline and all that. Is just it didn't seem like the same guy. So it seems like it was
the illness that he was suffering from degenerated his bones, muscles,
yeah,
and tissues.
he already was.
It literally
that
distorted the
during
face that
the
you see.
90s.
It's
He
just
already
like if
had
you
that during the 90s.
lost all of your face would look different.
The
It's
grand
pretty
design
much
was
along
in
those same lines.
2010, if anyone wanted to know.
There you go.
That's-
in
that's the
2010.
book.
That's from the Grand Design 2010. There you go.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
So it's not the original one. Because he would have never said that. He was too freaking smart for
He
that.
didn't say that. Factually, he did not say those words. They did not cross his lips.
Yes.
Fact.
Correct.
A great many of his books and works after the onset of his neural disorder were, I guess you could say, formulated by a computer, but not really. There was a snazzy little sophisticated piece of gear that hung off of his wheelchair for a really long time that helped him ride. Just like when, is the actor Christopher Reeve. He had broken his back at some point, and it immobilized. He became a quadriplegic, confined to the chair. By blowing and making movements and certain head movements that he could still perform, he could still move that chair, so he could essentially walk. He was locked inside his mind too, because a lot of his neural functions didn't work properly, and he had devices that assisted him in speaking or understanding certain things. So on Hawking's board, when you see him during an interview or something, and the interviewer asks him a question that's completely out of left field, and he has to take time to process this, he's actually moving through a series of responses that are, some of them are pre-typed. Sure. Some of those responses are typed on site because he can use whole sight words, just like you have autofill on your phone. Well, his machine essentially had autofill, and he could fill in a lot of phrases and then throw them at a reporter and go, okay, there's your answer. Don't ask me things that are off script because it's going to be harder. But that doesn't negate the fact that the mind locked inside this ill-fitting frame could still accomplish things.
That's not what we're arguing.
I think that's kind of
we're arguing that
so
this
it's
man's
to attack
declarations.
somebody's physicality or their physique
Not our
based on
argument.
what their mind
That's
thinks.
not our
And-
argument.
and-
That's not our argument. Our argument is regards
No,
to.
it's erroneous to argue in that vein.
Stop monologuing!
Yeah, shut the fuck up. We've heard your claim. Yeah, it doesn't mean that he's not, because he's physically incapable, doesn't mean he hasn't said those words. We are talking about his claims as a pseudoscientist. It doesn't matter if they've come from a voice machine, from him or not. They're attributed to him, and he's had his quote with his name next to it, regardless of whether or not that's split between a bloody computer or him actually coming up with autotype. It matters not. He's declaring about the world we live in without any scientific validity, and that is what we are attacking him on.
Do you get it? We're attacking him because he says because there is a law such as gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing. That's what we're attacking him on. He's a friggin' moron.
They kind of tried to turn him into Einstein too, in a way.
Yeah,
think.
wheel him in, let him spout his pseudoscience. Everyone will think he's more intelligent because he's clearly visually not, and everyone's happy. Right?
Well, because he was very intelligent in the past, he would have never said those things. The original, real Stephen Hawking. But yeah, this guy, whether it is him or it is a double, yeah, this is basically a puppet being wheeled around and with a microphone on it, with a team behind it. That's the unit. That's the act.
But who cares?
Arwen, it sounds like you got a little bit of history on him. So prior to his situation going into a wheelchair, was he an evolutionary physicist or was he a creationist physicist? What was he?
I think he was pretty neutral. I don't know. To be fair, I haven't really looked into much. Remember that my brother was a great fan of his because he did look into that, study up on these types of things back in the day. And he also, I think, figured out that Einstein was probably a fraud. But he has always respected Stephen Hawking before.
Yeah. Stephen Hawking never said that. He worked with Roger Penrose back in the day, working out a lot of Einstein's nonsense. But that was back in the late 60s. So he was definitely on board the Einstein bandwagon back then.
Right.
But
Well, it would seem-
Einstein,
it would seem-
hold on, just one question. Einstein has some experimental validity to some of the assertions he makes. Does Stephen Hawking have any experimental validation being provided for any claims he makes?
Let me just confirm.
Theories are mathematical in nature.
Well, maybe.
Let me just.
That bit I know about, Arwin. Sorry to interrupt you, John. Yes, we know about that bit, but what I'm saying is the same is true of Einstein. But you can't poo-poo everything Einstein ever did because he's done some experiments. He's validated some causes along the way, right? So, don't decry everything.
Let me be a little bit more clear. His work with Stephen Hawking's work with Roger Penrose was specifically with the general and special theories of relativity. Thanks.
Right, so it's not providing any scientific validity, but my question is, at any stage during Stephen Hawking's physically able career, did he provide scientific validation to anything at all, ever?
None that I found.
Right,
unless there's an experiment out there or a study out there that I missed. If somebody has that, can you please post it?
Anyway, we'll just round out I keep forgetting the guy's name. The guy who originally started this whole point about Stephen
Highlander.
So Highlander, our original point is that we're looking for empirical validation to claims that are made, otherwise known as scientific evidence, and we're not getting any from these sources.
Well, it's like Neil deGrasse Tyson. How many experiments has he performed?
Right, exactly.
Right.
I don't want to ask the same series of questions about NDT, but yeah, I mean, if someone might pop up with an experiment he did 20 years ago, for all I know, it doesn't change the astrophysicist claims that he makes, and they are pseudoscience claims.
Also, Einstein didn't know scientific experiments either. It was all mind experiments, thought experiments.
No, they're not. That's not true. That's incorrect.
Oh, what? I'm incorrect. Okay, cool.
Einstein did some experiments. Yeah, he did.
I thought it was towards I was talking about relativity, I guess.
Not in reference to general and special relativity.
Yes, it's worth.
So make sure you're clear on what you're talking about, like Nathan said. You just don't poo-poo everything somebody says. You got to look at it, right? Not everyone is going to be right about everything. You take it in, you chew on the meat and you spit out the bones, right? So Don't just be flying off the cuff just because Einstein's a knucklehead with general and special relativity.
Einstein sympathizer.
No, that's a genetic fallacy. That's a genetic fallacy. No. Just using a quote. Let's take it away from science for a second. So is it Feynman, the laws of motion were not right? Well, that single individual quote doesn't mean that you can go away, dig out something from Feynman where he's babbling on about bloody heliocentrism and say, ha ha ha, Feynman sympathizer, you must believe. No, it doesn't work like that. Citations.
That was the next step.
Yeah, but
Feynman
let me conclude. Go on, just let me conclude. In this instance, our point in this topic towards Highlander is that what we are specifically looking for is validation to any claims made. And in the case of when we bracket it up with science, it's got a method that gives you an empirical result at the end of it. And anybody who declares they've got science when they haven't, like this dude in the wheelchair, then they automatically become pseudoscientists. You don't need to worry about whether or not you trust them. You just say, give us your experimental validation to any claim you make, please, Mr. Scientist, high IQ or otherwise.
It's pretty simple. I don't know why Highlander didn't get the contrast you were trying to make. I could give it to him in this way. If I own a piece of property and I put a for sale sign on it, and you come and give me, say, $100,000, but I failed to give you the deed, and you come to find out I never owned the land. You're not going to look at me as a property owner anymore. So now we got scientists who claim things, but they don't use the scientific empirical method to prove their claims. They just say it. So we're saying we're not throwing science in the trash can, but let science be empirical without bias so that it is what it is. It's not bias in there. It's not evolutionary or theistic or anything. What does this say? How is this? And well, it's going to be self-evident.
The problem is not technical understanding of the scientific method, okay? The problem is just the near seemingly incomprehensible scale of how this pseudoscientist has been fully integrated in all the teaching books, all the schools, everywhere in media, and it's taken as normal. That is the real hard pill to swallow, not the technical side of the scientific method.
But you're seeing that. I don't think Highlander sees it the way you just said it. He believes it because they got PhDs.
Because that is what is pushing it back.
No, but he believes if you have a PhD, you're okay.
I know you're right. You're right, 10th man. But Arwen's succinct point. I just don't want to get getting lost because you're correct also in the fact that Highlander doesn't recognise that. You're both right, but Arwen's point was beautiful. Yeah, the problem is just how far it's bled into society. Pseudoscientists, pretender clowns declaring they've got proof of things is rife, and that's Arwen's point, and he's right. I know you're saying, well, the other guy doesn't recognise that, and yeah, you're right also.
Well,
Yeah,
we're
not arguing.
the same thing.
We're not arguing
It's
here
just a
about
terrible
people.
realization that everything that everyone gets to learn out there and is upheld as some glorious achievement is so much tied into lies and deception that everybody just glances past without noticing. That's the scary realization, really.
I could go back because we're saying the same thing, Arwen. I could go back to my high school, my initial high school years, and the teacher was teaching on evolution, and I raised my hand, and I said, I can't believe something comes from nothing, and I argued with him and I'm a young kid, compared to his age. And it got to the point where I was just giving so much obvious logic. He looked at me and said, look, I just have to teach it. I don't even believe it. So this proves Arwen's point that they're just towing the line.
Well, it's not about people. It's about empirical evidence. That's what the whole point of this is. I don't care who it is, right? Richard Feynman, Stephen Hawking, I don't care. I don't care if it's Joe Snuffy. He has hair hanging down to his knees. He just got out of the penitentiary. He's down by the river in a van. He just falls out, fish bones, Jack Daniels on his breath. If he makes a claim and he's got experimental evidence that he could demonstrate, then I can take that as gold. Are you following me? It's not about the people. It's about the empirical evidence. Thanks.
Right. I would like to follow up the original point by saying the effect that it was described and that Nathan recognized about the grand scale of the deception, how everybody glances through it. What that actually is exactly the thing that Hitler is kind of famous for quoting, namely that a big lie works very well. And that is if the size of the lie is so monumental that once you wake up to it, you can't handle it, then people will go back into the trance before it's too late. That's the big lie that he was talking about with his societal social engineering. And that is
quite familiar.
And that is part of this system.
Yeah, I totally agree. The
The
heliocentric
big lie is
deception.
much heavier than the small lie.
Yeah, the heliocentric deception is the biggest deception in mankind's history. It's enormous.
Yeah, they're gonna do little things like throw little measurements and field manuals and pictures here and charts there because they have a narrative they got to uphold. So it's going to be there.
And
does it happen in real life? Can you prove it? Is it empirical? That's the point. Go ahead, Tony. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I thought you were done. And what's the common denominator between all these people and their grand scale?
Tell us.
They're atheists.
Say again?
They're atheists. The whole
Atheists?
thing is to intuitively change what every human being realizes and believes when they're young without anyone influencing them. Wow, this is a wonderful creation I'm living in. Who is the creator? It's just so natural to ask that question.
It's not
And
true.
then, well,
Atheist.
I asked it, and I talked to a lot of people, and when they look at creation and life and the complexity of it all, no one says it came from nothing when you have a chance to talk to them. It's a design, and especially with breakthrough with DNA and the codes, information comes from an information giver. It's pretty obvious that if DNA was the way it is today at the time of Darwin, that whole lie would never have perpetuated. They wouldn't have to find pig's tooth to shave and say belonged to Neanderthal man. There's a book called Bones of Contention where they go and file bones to make it fit the model. There's no transitional form ever found. Nothing is changing. What do you mean it's not true, Arwen?
What's evolution?
Very simple. At the top, the controllers, they're not all atheists.
I was
Nonsense.
going to say that. They outwardly pretend, certainly in England, to be devout Christians. Go to church, have marriages, all that stuff.
Well, now
And
you're
weirdly enough,
now,
a lot of them that pretend to be Christians are actual atheists, but also a lot of ones that are officially atheists are secretly believers. So it's a little bit more
do
complex.
you actually believe that, Arwen?
Yeah.
Okay, well, now we're back to Highlander with his PhDs, because the infiltration of the lie has made it to the false religious systems, and they've likened themselves to scientism. So, of course, what does that do? Oh, there was no 6-day creation. There was no actual each day this and that. And this is what the Catholic Church has postulated now, the Big Bang. So I wouldn't say that they believe in God. I believe this is another layer of deception that religious people can be induced to believe in the Big Bang and still think they can believe in God at the same time. It's pretty obvious.
Sorry, but that's just not true.
Well, you can't have both.
A lot of
that's
them
a
are
big no-no.
knowingly Satanists, and they definitely do believe in creation and God, and they oppose it. So it's just not. yeah, that's real.
That's funny.
Yeah.
They believe in God and they oppose and they agree with evolution at the same time. Two mutually exclusive
No, they
thoughts.
don't.
No,
They lie about it.
Arwen, you can't attribute evolution as God's method when God's method is already he made
God,
everything.
don't argue with me about the technicals. We're talking about
technicals,
controllers and what they do. Okay, you seem to be all knowing about these people.
No,
you're just no way. You don't. It's wrong.
No,
there are
no,
definite God believers among them.
Just finish.
But
Tell me when you're
however
finished.
they uphold themselves towards society is another matter.
Tell me when you're finished. Okay, I take that you're finished. What is their source for what God said he did?
Books.
What books?
All kinds of books. Some of them they will keep to themselves.
Okay, so let's just take in the Christian books. What would be their source if it was just the Christian faith?
What are you asking me?
Because I'm trying to isolate it to one faith so that it's easier to explain. If the Christian, so-called Christian scientist or so-called false reverend or false priest holds that he believes the Bible, Genesis, and the account of creation on one hand, but on the other hand says, I also believe the Big Bang. Voila, contradiction. Can't have both.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I was talking about more than just how they operate in public. dummy. I was talking about what they actually believe. Why
so now I'm a
they
dummy
do it.
for inquiring and not being able to read your mind?
Who are they?
I'm talking about from my own personal experience with people.
Who are they?
Yeah, I'm not gonna point them out for you.
Well, then you don't have a point. I don't do ambiguous. You gotta define who you're talking about.
Oh yeah, I gotta
and
point
what the
at
subject
somebody
is.
real in the world here. Just a guy that just happens to operate like that and just blow his cover because you want to quote. No.
What are you talking about?
Black and white, okay. And hey, if
What
a
the hell are you
preacher
talking
is
about?
being dual,
Who are they?
Oh, right. So you're gonna just keep on doing this until I go away, are you? We're not gonna
You
be
said
finishing
they.
this
Want to
actual
know who you're
point.
talking about? Get specific and stop over talking me.
Right. Yeah.
You made the claim. You said they. Who are they? Simple.
Oh, he's gone.
All right. Well, all right. I don't know why he called me a dummy. I didn't insult him.
Causing
But my
feedback, John.
question
Can you
was,
go on mute? Go
Say
ahead,
again?
Tentman. You're causing feedback.
who?
Go ahead, Tentman.
That's what arrived on my computer desk.
Well, if John wants to finish, I'll wait till he finishes.
Okay. Guess what just arrived on my computer desk?
A new mic?
Let me guess. I'm Mike.
Yep. It just my wife just set it down.
Excellent.
So are you around after the show for a few minutes?
Yeah, yeah, no worries.
I love it.
Okay, I'll deal with it then. I'll go on. Sorry, Arwen, I didn't mean to get upset at you, but when both you and 10th, because I'm going to get 10th here in 1 second, we're talking about they. Who are they, 10th?
Okay. They, in my context of saying, is people who claim, whether in the media or books or people I talk to in person, that they have a belief in God and the Bible, and at the same time hold an alternate opposing view of the creation that the Bible and God says how things were made. That's they.
That doesn't tell me who they are.
Okay, a friend of mine here in town, I will call him Bob, for example. That's a they. He says that. So I say to Bob, I say to Bob,
I don't care
Bob,
what Bob says then.
No, this is what I'm saying. So I say to Bob, do you claim to be a Christian? And Bob says, yes. I go, well, then why don't you believe the Genesis account?
I'm starting to get lost here on where this conversation began and went.
Well,
I thought we were
can't
talking
say you're
about
a Christian and not believe the Bible is what I'm saying.
I thought the conversation started about the hierarchy of the pseudoscience priest and what they believe. That's where I thought it started from. Why are we talking about Bob down the street?
Because you want to know who they was.
Oh, we're off the rails, man. Maybe it's me.
It's funny. That new mic, man, you're excited. No, what happened was Arwen took it to a different slang. It did start where you said, and then Arwen took it to a different slang. And then I said, well, you can't, that's a violation of the law of non-contradiction. You can't say you're a Christian and still believe in the Big Bang. So I jumped in at that point and said, look, make a demarcation line. Either believe it's God, 100% God, or you're going to mix the two and you're going to water down both sides, because this side says there is no God and the other side says there is a God, but you're going to find somewhere in the happy, lukewarm middle. Well, that's not really standing up for your faith if you have one.
Yeah, I'm still searching for they. So sorry about that, Arwen. You're still going to have to tell me they. Next time you come on, I want to know who they are.
If it's a comfort to you, Bob's the perfect name for day, because either way, it spells Bob.
So any follow-up on the second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to the Earth?
From Rumpus.
Any news on that front?
I don't think so. I think we tied that down already by saying it doesn't apply to his reified model.
Oh, I see. Yeah, and then they talk about entropy from the sun. It decreases entropy. The sun decreases the entropy on the Earth, but the second law on thermodynamics doesn't apply to the Earth. I mean, you got to be on some serious psilocybin, brother, or pound yourself in the head with a hammer a couple times. Make a statement like that. That's scary. Thanks.
Well, we're highlighting just how batshit insane these people are on an almost daily basis.
And meanwhile, the sun's getting hotter the further away you get from its core. So that's cute.
Isn't that cute? It was real funny. In fact, that was back in the day when I was listening to Bassano, right? That's what got me on his show, because I had turned on his interview with the chief of the Sohu team, right? And Robert's asking him questions, and I'm sitting there, I can't wait for this, man. I'm hanging on every word. And Robert never got to it, but the guy from the Soho team, he did say it. He said, well, I'm thinking you might have problems with the second law and the current model of the sun, something to that effect. And I'm there. Oh my God, this guy brought it up himself. Get him, Robert, get him. But Robert had an agenda, and I don't think it hit him at the time. And he moved on to a different subject. I was throwing shit. I'm there, don't leave this place, right? Don't stay here, drop anchor right here. But it was so funny. I immediately emailed Robert, and that's how me and Robert got started. So a lot of fun memories with that. There's another story to that, but I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to hold off on that. But I wanted to share that.
Well, you could use it as a plug for presumably what's going to come out in the future in that regard, right? That's why you don't want to talk about it, but you could plug your show. Still live.
Plug my show? I already plugged my show. I don't have to keep. What do you want me to do?
Like future things, like things like you were just talking about, like Robert Bassano and stuff like that.
Are you trying to lead me or something?
I was, but you're going to run out of time rapidly, so I'm going to do it for you. So I'm going to say on Saturday, because this is going out for the Nathan Oakley 1980 audience on Friday. So tomorrow there is Ballbusters on the Quantum Eraser channel, 8 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. Central Standard. So be here, be Sphere on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel. So that's tomorrow, Saturday, 8 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. Central Standard. And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of today's live panel for making this live debate possible. If you are watching on the Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering stream, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on the Nathan Oakley channel, then this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you for tuning in, hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. As I say, stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!